Welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. It's been 3 weeks since Hamas's October 7th attacks, and Israel has begun the second phase of the military operations against Hamas. Joining me to talk about these developments is Sumit Choudhary, editor, Defense and National Security for TV9 Bharatvarsh. Sumit, welcome back to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you very much.
It's a very interesting series of reports that you filed for us from Israel. 20 days?
Yes, approximately 20 days.
Approximately 20 days. Fascinating reports uncovering all the aspects of this war. So tell us what we are seeing right now in the second phase of Israel's ground operations in Gaza.
So on Monday, last 2 days before, I think the Israeli forces, IDF, have started their second phase of operation. That means their main target will be the tunnel, the lifeline, or we can call a metro tunnel, because Hamas is it's a lifeline for the Hamas, and they have started this operation on Monday. And right now, when we have seen that initially we have seen that the IDF have moved from the northern areas. Right. They approximately, their offensive operation lines start from the ground zero of Israel to the 5 kilometer inside the Gaza border. Yeah. Now they have done a new strategy. They changed their strategies, and now they have been cordoning off the Hamas from the behind the Gaza city. That means from the Netzin junction. So right. Their strategy is very clear. They are now trying to capture the whole northern part of Gaza Strip, that is approximately 20 to 22 kilometers. Right. And we have seen how the tanks and the artillery movement have started increasing on all these locations. So the biggest challenge, but still the biggest challenge for Israeli forces is to go inside the tunnels. That is the biggest challenge, because they know there will be a big traps, ambushes which have been let down by the Hamas in last 22-23 days.
In fact, let's look at we have a map explaining this. So it's, as you're suggesting, they've entered Gaza, the northern part, from 3 directions. Can you tell us what we're looking at?
But exactly, if you see the Bet Hanon, the location is where from the Sedrot to all these locations where the armored and the artillery movement have been started. Right. The initial strikes have done on all these area, and now the area of airstrikes have also extended. Now they are coming towards the Gaza City. Right. And from all these locations, if you see the third, Zeton area, it's also known as the junction area also. This is the main road from the north part to the south part. So
they've effectively created this little combat space here, where they've emptied all the refugees. They've asked them to move south, and they've created a free fire zone.
Buffer zone, or so that their strategy will be clear, because the biggest challenge, Sandeep, is the urban warfare, that you have to take care of all these civilian people, their houses, their locations. And from last 23 days they have been doing the same thing. They have been asking the civilian populations to move toward the south, so that they have a clean area, they can do their operations. And one thing important, they have also mentioned, IDF have announced this, any civilian population, any civilian who have been found in these areas will be considered as terrorist only, Hamas terrorist only. Right. So their strategy will be clear. Now they have an open area, they can fire them, they can neutralize them, and they can go inside the tunnel area. But the biggest challenge right now is for them is also go inside the tunnels.
Right, and this is again part of northern Gaza, the area that the Israeli tanks have gone in. They've come in through the beaches as well, Sumit. And what could be the reason for that? Is it because it is not well defended?
Because they have to cordon them. They also get an input that some of them will be trying run away from all these areas, seashores. Right. So they have cordoned these areas, and most importantly, they have also make some patrol points so that they can go inside the Israel from the sea areas.
Right.
So all these strategies have been developed, have been adopted by the IDF, and the biggest change which they have done in phase 2 is now they have been going back, they have been taking over from the behind the Gaza city, so that they have a huge area and they can cordon them from both the sides, and the only place where they can left out is the sea area.
Is the sea, and but there's not the kind of urban combat that we were told. That doesn't seem to be playing out right now.
Yes, exactly, because initially they have also notion, and they have also think that it's a urban warfare, but it's entirely different. I think, if I'm not wrong, because you have also seen so many wars, I don't think this kind of war scenario have been faced by any forces till now, because you have also urban population, densely populated area. Then second important challenge for them is the tunnels, because they have to go inside, they have to search each and every location, and the tunnels is around, as per the Hamas claim, they have around 500 kilometers as per Hamas claim. It's half of the New York City tunnel subways. So I think that is something very challenging for them, and most important, most challenging is these are the places where the hostages may be kept inside these tunnels.
There's about 200 hostages that are still unaccounted for.
Exactly.
And they could be kept in these tunnels.
So they don't know about these locations. They can't target them blindly. And the pictures we have been showing to our viewers, this is exactly the reference that how small these tunnels are, how exactly compact and how well equipped these Hamas people have been in these tunnels.
Right. And meanwhile, Yemen has declared war on Israel. The Houthis based in Yemen, they're an insurgent group allied to Iran, launched a ballistic missile towards Israel. This missile was intercepted by Israel's Arrow missile defense shield. And Iran has in fact activated its two H's, the Houthis and the Hezbollah, to attack Israel. Take a look at this interesting story on Iran's proxies.
Just days after Hamas' attack on Israel and its civilians, a US warship intercepted and destroyed missiles and drones aimed at Israel, launched by the Houthis, another terrorist group based in Yemen. This is the latest militant group joining the ongoing Israel Hamas war after Hezbollah.
The crew of the guided missile destroyer USS Carney, operating in the northern Red Sea earlier today, shot down 3 land attack cruise missiles and several drones that were launched by Houthi forces in Yemen. Information about these engagements is still being processed. We cannot say for certain what these missiles and drones were targeting, but they were launched from Yemen, heading north along the Red Sea, potentially towards targets in Israel.
With Israel beginning to fight a two-front war with Hamas and Hezbollah, there seems to be an attempt for a third front being opened by Houthis.
See, both Houthis and Hezbollah have two different functions. Through Houthis, Iranians can attack American ships. Through Houthis, Iranians can attack civilian ships full of oil. It can be an ecological disaster. What Hezbollah does is it opens up the threat of a second front for Israel. So even if they are involved in Gaza Strip at a particular point of time, you have more than 1 lakh Hezbollah fighters trained and blooded in the Syrian war. They can start attacking Israel from north. It's not as if Hezbollah fighters can overrun the Israeli defenses, but they can engage them there.
Though all these militant groups are from different countries, what's common between them is their benefactor, and that's Iran.
Iran's support is by training, by weapons, by funding, by transfer of knowledge and expertise, also getting a political backing and arms by Russia.
Iran has been building a network of terror proxies across West Asia since its 1979 revolution. As of today, it has allies among more than a dozen major militias such as Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen.
When we talk about proxies, the 3 main proxies of Iran are Hamas, which is Sunni, a branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. Another proxy is Hezbollah in the north border of Israel, in Lebanon. Another proxy is the Houthi in Yemen.
Houthis were born because Shias who were part of the mountainous terrain of Yemeni state never felt integrated. They felt that the Sunnis took the prime cake, and it led to militancy, terrorism, and they got support from Iran. Now, Hezbollah was born out of a unique post-colonial experiment. Israel invaded Lebanon in 1980s. Iran started supporting those who were opposed to it in South Lebanon. They created a new organization called Hezbollah. It was a Shiite organization. Iran supported that organization. Hezbollah fighters fought against Israel. Hezbollah fighters fought for Bashar Assad. Hezbollah fighters are now fighting for Hamas.
The US security presence in the region and its strong backing of Israel is not only important for Israel but also for the region at large. It may seem to be aimed at Hamas on the face of it, but in reality, it is to deter Iran, its other strongest proxies and backers such as Russia and China.
The US security presence in the region and its strong backing of Israel, really it's unimaginable and historic.
Obviously, Iran is able to pursue its ambitions only because of backing from other states. In fact, we have been seeing very strong ties between Moscow, Tehran and the Hamas. Hamas for many years has been a welcome guest in Moscow, and even a week ago, following the October 7 attacks, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia met the political leadership of Hamas in Qatar. So far, we are not seeing Iran pushing Hezbollah to join a full-scale or a multi-front war and is limited to a proxy war.
The only reason why Israel doesn't fight Iran is because Iran is a big country. It's a big country with a big standing army. So only thing they can do against Iran are strategic operations. But they can't run Iranian state.
Will it then continue the war through its proxies, as Israel this time seems to be bent upon going all out against its enemies? That is the question to be asked.
Pakistan's proxies, the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Taiba, are armed with assault rifles, but Iran's proxies are armed with ballistic missiles. In fact, the distance the Houthi missile traveled is over 2,000 kilometers. It's a distance between Delhi and Bangalore. But the big story we're tracking today is Israel's war on Hamas's tunnels. And I'm joined in the studio today by Colonel Ravi Singh, a combat engineer from the Bombay Sappers and a veteran of the Indian Army.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you.
Colonel Singh, welcome to the News9 Plus show.
Thank you.
And you're also a veteran of the IPKF
Yes.
deployment in Sri Lanka, which is the only time the Indian Army has actually faced urban combat. But Colonel Singh, tell us what we are seeing here, Hamas's network of tunnels. Describe to us what the structure of these one-man tunnels are. They don't appear to be more than 5 feet wide and about 6 feet high.
Right. So firstly, let's understand that when you talk about tunnel, our mind goes to the metro tunnels, and these are very superior designs.
Right.
These are very, very small designs, which are
Yeah.
rudimentary design, I'll say, done by some basic engineers.
Right.
Which basically consists of 2 columns on the side
Right.
and an arch concrete on top. So
Right.
all this is it. And piece by piece, they will just keep adding it and going forward.
Right.
So it doesn't have a big space,
Right.
but a small space good enough for human traffic to
Yeah.
pass through and weapon and ammunition to go through.
So it's like a concrete tunnel made of arches, concrete arches
Yes, so
stacked
not
together.
not always. If you don't get arches, you use just 2 straight beams
Right.
and make a inverted V.
Right.
And use it in that format. And the photographs which you see is one of the best ones.
Right.
I have seen some photographs which are not very straight and were just assembled in a
Right,
way to
right.
hold on for that person and ammunition to go through.
But tell us about, the thing, tunnel warfare is as old as warfare itself. What has been the role of tunnels in the last century?
So if I'll just take a touch on the Mughal times also, if you see
Right.
the forts and all that, they had small escapes and getaways.
Right.
They're basically small tunnels.
Yep.
Only thing is here, Hamas is kilometers.
Right.
Its size is immense because the spread is also there.
Right.
They want to spread their resources in terms of manpower and ammunition, which can be divided in various places, which they would know.
Right. So we're hearing, Sumit, that there were 3 types of tunnels. There are admin tunnels, there are storage tunnels, and then there are the personal tunnels and escape tunnels as
Yes.
well. I mean, is there a gradation of such tunnels?
Yes, they have a differentiation, and I think they have made it very strategically.
Right.
From last 10 years, they have divided all these tunnels in a different locations. Not only for human trafficking,
Right.
as sir has mentioned, but also for the arms and ammunition, and from north area to travel to the south area.
Right.
Because these Hamas cadres and the terrorists, they can't travel on the road, so they try and use all these tunnels from north area to south. So these tunnels have been giving them a lifeline or a secure location from where they can move and they strategize their attacks on Israel.
Right. So the philosophy of tunnels.
So here I would like to add one thing very
Yeah.
interesting. See, unlike, as I said, these designs are very rudimentary designs.
Right.
So, the difficult part of making a tunnel is firstly going down
Right.
and then going later left or right.
Yeah.
So, they can't do that because they don't have the technology with them, not accessible
You
to
need tunnel
them.
boring machines.
Yes, so what they would do is a standard hospital or a school which is already dug down,
Right.
and then just go lateral, and then just
Okay.
go connected, and then in between after a few kilometers might be have a getaway, small
Right.
getaway zone.
Right.
So most of the tunnels will be lateral, going and connecting it with each other.
Connecting
where-
the basements of buildings.
Yes, that will be the best. That is the
Right.
easiest to do.
Right.
Because from the basement you dig sideways and just keep going inside, and small holes like what we call it in our terminology, rat holes. You
Rat
just make
holes.
these rat holes
Right.
and travel from one place to another.
Right.
So that is the way. The difficult part in this tunnel warfare, if you are terming it like that, is that it is very difficult to access it.
Right.
Because when an enemy moves out,
Yeah.
he just doesn't leave it like that. He booby traps it.
Right.
And once it is booby trapped, it is just as good as impossible to clear it.
Right.
So normally it is either the tunnel is destroyed or it is blown apart.
Right.
That is the only way we can get, because to remove a booby trap is very difficult.
Right. But like Sumit was saying that a lot of these tunnels are used for soldiers to stay in, and we've been hearing reports that 15,000 Hamas fighters live in these tunnels. What are the challenges of making a tunnel habitable for human beings?
So these tunnels, like we in the Indian Army also, we use bunkers for staying.
Yeah, of course.
So in these tunnels are just stopgap arrangement.
Right.
They cannot be for permanent living like a house with a toilet and lighting and air conditioning and all that.
Right.
It is a basic safe getaways.
So it's like a bunker.
It's like a bunker,
It's a
yes.
long bunker underground.
It's a long bunker and spread
across.
So their resources also spread. If one place is
right.
damaged or destroyed, they have other places where they can use those for warfare.
Right. And why is it that Hamas basically came up with this idea of tunnels? Sumit, what's the philosophy?
I think here,
behind it?
no, I like to add here, it is, I think, see, how the Israelis they have given this place to Hamas,
Right.
and they said you can't do anything because everything is under governance, moving out, inside, out,
yeah.
everything is controlled.
Right.
So that's why they can't get the technology. Technology is available in the world,
Right.
but they can't get it inside. So what is the best way of getaway? Go down, dig and just stay there. And they
Right.
must be doing it for years.
Right.
And if Israelis have not come to know, that means a top secret operation going on.
Of course.
And they have done it very secretly and made a big chain of tunnels.
Right. In fact, Sumit, I was reading this report which said that the quantity of mud that they've extracted from these tunnels is you could build a pyramid of Giza with that.
Yes,
1,50,000 truckloads of that. How did all this happen in plain sight? Obviously, this has been, that mud has to be deposited somewhere. So how did the Israelis miss out on all this?
I think we all know that it's a big failure from the Israeli intelligence agencies.
Right,
They have accepted this. They have
Yeah.
also accepted that it's a biggest failure from our side. But one thing is very important. Hamas is not only the only one who is doing this. They have a proper backup. They have a proper
Right.
training. Their commanders, when you talk about the higher commands of the Hamas,
Yeah.
they have been well trained not only in Gaza but also in Iran, in North Korea. I think I have also seen, because when I reach all these locations, I have seen the new technology of hand grenades, the rocket launchers, which is North Korean made.
There's a North Korean connection,
North
you're right.
Korean
Yes,
made
yes.
and the Iranian made. So I
Right.
think they have been well trained by either from the Iranian side or from the North Korean side.
But
and
it's interesting, Sumit, you should mention the North Korean connection because, in the thing of warfare and tunnels, the North Koreans have dug multiple what they call tunnels of aggression across the demilitarized zone. And these tunnels are so huge, they're much bigger than the Hamas tunnels.
And if you have
you can take
noticed-
an entire division, a light division could run through these tunnels.
If you go through the earlier visit of the Kim Jong-un to the Russia, you have
Right.
seen that how they have used the tunnels, they train, the
Right.
bulletproof trains.
Yes.
So they are very specialized in this, and that's
Right.
why the Hamas have been trained and equipped from the North Korean side, so that they can do all these operations in a very secure way.
Right. And
Another thing here I want to add on is when this tunneling system would have started,
Yes.
I'm just assuming, unlike a metro tunnel which starts from one side
Sure.
and go, or might be starts from the other side and these connect. Here they would have made small tunnels in this area, another set of tunnels in this area, another set of tunnels in this area, and ultimately they would have inched slowly and got it connected.
Right.
And that's how we got a network today.
which
Today
is why
you're
it's called
seeing
the Gaza net, the
yes, that's
Gaza
right.
Metro.
Yes,
That's what
so
it's called.
this is slowly connected. So
Right.
only a few people some people will know about this work, there's some network going on. If it,
Right.
this is how you maintain security.
Right.
If it is exposed, only this will get exposed.
Yeah.
Other people are, so they just kept making it, and ultimately they connected it, and that's why you're getting 100 kilometers of network without the Israelis coming to know about it.
Right. So the challenges of this seem to be electricity, getting that electric supply. Here you're looking at a very well illuminated Hamas tunnel coming from one of their propaganda videos. Sumit, we've been hearing reports that the IDF is targeting the electricity supply to these tunnels. They're
Fuel.
that hitting their air conditioning systems and air filtration. This thing. Do you know anything about
Yes,
that?
if you remember the 10 days back when
Yeah.
the Pentagon have also mentioned this point, and America also mentioned this point, the negotiation between the Hamas and the Americans is on the point of fuel transferring to the Hamas.
Right.
They have mentioned this, we are going to transfer some
Yes.
amount of fuel to the Hamas and they will release our hostages, but they denied at the last
Right,
because
right.
Israel intervened and they said it's in mid of our operation.
Right.
Our main target is to destroy their arms and ammunition, their fuel, their electricity,
Right.
and major supply, so that they are paralyzed.
Right.
And that's why if you see that the biggest challenge right now with the Hamas is to gather all these things, and they don't
Right.
have any their ratio or the lines from where
Right.
these kinds of things can come to them.
Right. So illuminating the tunnel and
So,
electricity supply would be a big
yes.
challenge.
No, electricity is not a very big challenge because that is one of the I
Gen
think,
sets.
simplest
They would use gen
way of
sets. Right.
just putting a cable.
Right.
What the Israelis trying to do is to choke them out.
Right.
So no water, no electricity. But they would have catered for that because, as I said, these are small spaces. So water would be stored in jerry cans and whatever small
yeah.
containers. It could be stored there, and electricity, like generator sets are there, which will help them in electricity. So that is not a big challenge. The challenge is to get the network.
Right.
The map of the network, how it is, that is the big challenge for the Israelis.
And that is something that Hamas would keep to themselves. It would
Yes.
be a very closely guarded secret.
And very few people would know about on the topper level because some tunnels, some people would know, some tunnels, other people would know.
Right.
But all the tunnels, nobody would know.
Oh, absolutely. Need to know basis as
Only
they say
that
in
is
the
the- yes,
military. But Sumit, what are the other big challenges? And the IDF is pretty well versed with the tunnel warfare. I mean, I've been seeing those videos of, for the last couple of years, of IDF personnel rehearsing on entering tunnels. But based on what we are seeing right now, there doesn't seem to be a concerted effort to enter the tunnels. I mean, it seems to be all from the surface, to fight them on the surface and block the buildings that are sheltering tunnels.
Sandeep, I think they have a multiple challenge. Not only the tunnel challenge is one of the prominent one. The second most important challenge which they have is the time duration which Hamas now get it, because they have plenty of time now. They have put plenty of ambushes. The third challenge will be the hostages, because
Right.
they know that they kept hostages. They have transferred hostages from north to south area. And the last and the most important challenge is the support which Hamas is getting from the Houthis, from the Hezbollah.
Right.
So there are multiple fronts from
Yeah,
where
yeah.
the surface to surface long missiles have been targeted
Right.
the Israeli forces.
Right.
So they just wanted to ensure one thing: once they start entering the Gaza City, once they start capturing all these locations, the attacks from the Houthis and the Hezbollah doesn't affect their ongoing operations in the Gaza Strip, and that is the biggest challenge they are facing right now.
Right.
Another thing I think they have as a problem is since their hostages are with them.
Right.
So because if you have a 5 kilometer long tunnel, just one tunnel, very easy, just block the entrance and the exit, just break it down.
Right.
So whatever inside is left inside. But if they have their own people inside, they don't know.
Hostages.
Hostage inside.
is
So that is the
another
challenge why
dynamic.
they don't want to just block all the tunnels.
Right.
They are not blocking the tunnels primarily because of this. There might be some negotiation later on
Negotiations
where they
that
can
are on right
where
now.
they can get back the hostages. That is why they're delaying on the blocking the. Otherwise, very easy to block the
Right.
entrances and
Right.
just let be where it is.
So right now they seem to be, as we were talking earlier, Sumit, is that they're encircling Gaza City from all sides, and then they're trying to kind of starve them out. And this is a long
Yes,
operation.
this
It
is a
will
long
take-
operation, and they will do it in a very slow pace. They are not going to take it in a very very fast way.
Right.
So they are taking a long time so that they can not only choke them from the fuel and electricity,
Right.
but also they have a full intelligence input, the
Right.
surveillance input, so that they can target the pinpoint location and come back.
Right. So when you were on the ground with the IDF, Sumit, just take us through these preparations that they were doing for the offensive. I saw you with a lot of tanks there inside Gaza.
So initially when I reached these locations, their first target is to secure the area, Sedrot, Ashkenal,
Right.
all
the
Kibbutz,
perimeters.
yeah, all the areas where the
Right.
Hamas have entered. And the second biggest challenge to mobilize the armored artillery, their ground forces, and to put the reserves on backup, so that they, if they try and enter the special forces, they try and enter the Gaza city, then they have a proper backup. They should not be without backup. And now when they have a proper backup, they have everything now. Now they started entering, but still their main challenge is to get all the armored vehicle. If you remember that first American aid to them, defense aid, is the armored vehicles, the Iron Dome shells. So they need all these backup, because they already know that this war is going to be for a very long period, and they wanted to establish, and they don't want
up on weapons
and they don't want their place to be the second example like Afghanistan, Iraq. They wanted their war should be on their own style, on their own way.
Right. So this is Colonel Singh, urban war on a scale that we've not seen ever before.
No, here see, like Sumit said, the urban war is very slow moving.
Right.
Unlike if you have
slow
a plane
grinding,
slow grinding, and
small battles.
Because we have to take a lot of caution on security.
Right.
Their own security of own personals, because so many things can be booby trapped.
Right.
You know, a left building might be, oh, this is something you can't just walk in.
Right.
Whereas in a plain ground, you can just walk in kilometers and without any obstacle. Because whatever you see, that is there.
Right.
Here, there are so many unseen and hidden things which are lying inside.
Right.
So that is what is the danger of the urban warfare.
Right.
And a sniper, just one plain sniper sitting somewhere, and he can create havoc on you.
Right.
So they can't permit that also to happen. That's why it is a very slow.
So you've been part of Operation Pawan, 1987 in Sri Lanka, which I think the Indian Army's only deployment in urban warfare.
Yes.
And how complicated was that war? I mean, the only time the Indian Army's been into cities and fighting an urban war.
So I can tell you small incidents also. Like the militants there, they used a mine called Johnny Mine, which was a small mine, which was initiated on somebody stepping on it.
It's a bouncing mine.
No, it was a small wooden piece with like a clip like sort of. Moment you press on it, and it will burst.
Right.
So water points. Now when we went there, we needed water.
Yes.
So what was a well or a abandoned well, we would put our thing. So moment they abandoned a well and we saw a well, we just went rushing. The first mistakes we also done.
Right.
We just went rushing in, and our men stepped on those mines. Then we realized, oh no. So
Booby
any water
traps.
point, you just can't go straight, because that is a requirement. We have to go to there.
Right.
A water hole is a requirement. We have to go there.
Yeah.
But then we have to be very, very cautious and slow. So we had to first clear the area completely, put it on guard, and then approach that water hole. So I am saying the similar problem is going to be there also. They just can't approach anything. A hospital, oh, just go straight. No.
Right.
If a hospital is left by them, that means it is definitely booby trapped.
Right.
So that is the caution they have to exercise in urban warfare.
While we are on the intense urban combat that seems to be unfolding in northern Gaza, there's also the story of over 1.5 million Gazans, many of whom are headed southwards to the Egyptian border, the Rafa Crossing. Sumit, you've been at the Rafa Crossing. Describe to us what it's like over there.
Basically, it's a trijunction between Israel, Egypt, and the Gaza Strip. So very complicated, very strategically important place, and that's why we have seen that all the trucks with the relief material and everything, it's passing from the Rafah border only. It's I think 280 kilometers of Egypt and the Israeli boundaries, and Rafah is more important because that is a transit point from the Gaza Strip to the Egyptian areas. And Israel have very categorically, very specifically, they have mentioned this: if any kind of relief material, any kind of thing which bypass to the Hamas, will try and target all these locations. So this is a very sensitive area also, and most importantly, we have also seen, because when I reach all these locations, I have seen that how
there on the map there,
the Egypt side also, because it's very peaceful place from last so many years, but with all these war scenario, Egypt also moved their tanks and some of the ground forces to this trijunction.
Is it because they fear that the refugees would try and break through?
Will come, and they have also fear that Hamas will try and target the Israeli side from Egyptian soil if they come with the local population. So they are very, it's a very sensitive area, because Egypt also have a notion that something will also come to their land, and they will also involve them in this war.
Right. And what are we hearing about the 1.5 million people, where do they go? There's been talk of them being housed in some kind of a tent city around Gaza.
I think they have been working on multiple options. They have been discussing all these options, but till now, Sandeep, nothing has been finalized. There is no proper proposal that where will this population will go. They only mentioned all the population from the north side just move to the south side, but the huge population, it's a very huge population, and it's very difficult to cater all these people in such a small area. So I think they need to do something, but yeah, there is no final decision from the other side.
So Colonel Singh, tell us this mass of humanity that's there, that's moving south. I mean, how do you house 15 lakh people? I mean, that's like an entire Indian city on the move.
That's a challenge to all the nations. Like in 1971 war, we had such a
6 million
so many prisoners.
Right.
So no, I'm talking about the prisoners also.
Right, of course, 100,000 prisoners.
Yes, so how do we cater to them? So we disperse them into various areas. But here the problem is governance. No government is going to take them. Egypt is not ready on one side. This is Israel, and where do the other side is sea? So where do they go? So that's a challenge.
Absolutely,
it's a governance challenge.
It's a governance
challenge.
The
next portion, what you are asking is technology. Like, okay, we'll have tents or we'll have administrative arrangements. That can be done pretty fast with the modern technology we have. But first, the governance, decision making. Where do we house these people? Which is the place? Which is the area we give them? Like you were saying, which area we should give them? That is a difficult question.
But Sumit, there's been a lot of resistance from both the Jordanian heads of state and Egypt. They say that don't send the Palestinians into our country. What's the reason for that? Is it because they don't want Palestinians into their territory, or they want to kind of, keep themselves safe?
Sandeep, obviously this became a very huge threat for Egyptian and the Jordan. I think today also I've read somewhere that now Egypt have started checking some passport also. Some people have been coming from their side, from Gaza to the Egypt. They are checking their passport. They are monitoring everything. So they have a also input that these people, the Hamas militants or the local cadres, will try and mix up with the local population. They will start working from the Egyptian soil. So that's why Egypt is very particular and very careful in all these people who are coming to their land.
Right. And meanwhile, the US and Qatar and Egypt, they've all been working on working to open the Rafa border crossing. But it's again very small numbers that they're talking of. Any reason why they?
Because initially they only want those people who have been verified multiple times, they have proper passports, they worked earlier on the Israeli soils, so they are allowing all those people who have a background of working and not have a background of any Hamas related activities.
Because Egypt doesn't want Hamas to enter Egypt.
So that's why they have very particular, they have mentioned this point that only those people who worked in Israel on their work grants, they can come to our side, otherwise no people is allowed.
But so it's very clear that these 1.5 million people, all of them are not going to go into any other country. They have to remain in Gaza. And what about this talk that we've been hearing about the post-Hamas scenario, Sumit? How does that play out?
That is the most challenging part. I think because, as Colonel Sir also mentioned this point, governance is the biggest challenge. If you remember that America also asked
the political process after the military action
Israel
is over.
Not only mentioned this point that we are going to neutralize, we are going to wipe out the Hamas militant cadre, but also the political cadres, political leaders also. They have been doing that. So who will govern the Gaza Strip? Who will handle all these populations, civil populations
after Hamas is gone?
After Hamas over. So that is the biggest challenge. That's why everybody is monitoring that we need to find out some solution, so that after all these operations get slowed down, they're about to over, we need to establish that mechanism so that the civil population have something in their hand. They have proper life which they are asking from the Gaza Strip.
And Colonel Singh, this brings me back to Sri Lanka again, over and over. All the scenarios that you're seeing over here, whether it's the use of human shields, all very reminiscent of Sri Lanka, what the LTT did with
here, another thing I want to add on is see, all the countries are ready to give support to either Hamas or to Israel, depending on where their alliance is. But nobody is ready to take on these people who are being evicted from the Gaza Strip. Because if you go back into history, this whole Gaza Strip was made as a settlement for people, Palestinian people.
Right.
And from Palestine, this Hamas thing came up.
Yes.
So nobody wants that to happen in their
In
own
their
territory.
own countries.
So that
Yeah.
is why the governance becoming a challenge. Otherwise, they would say, okay, chalo, theek hai, we'll give them
Right,
an area and
right,
we can settle
right,
down. Because this area was done, this thing,
Yeah.
exercise was done, given them an area to settle down, and everything, but see what has happened today. This is where is the challenge. So who
Right.
is going to accept it, and how do we, like Sumit is also saying, people who have worked and who are workers, nobody has an issue.
Yes.
They'll come and work into my country, that's not an issue. Issue is ki this will ultimately again after a few years convert into a Hamas.
And they don't
detective.
want militant activity on their
In their
soil,
soil.
which is what the Jordanians
Jordanian.
did with the PLO in the 1970s.
Absolutely.
Black September.
So-
I'm afraid I'm totally out of time. Thank you so much for joining us, Colonel Singh, Sumit.
Thank you, Sandeep.
We'll continue to track news and developments on the News 9 Plus show. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.